It's time I updated you all on what's been going on. I get so caught up in the writing and editing and publishing process that sometimes I forget that there's actually months have gone by and I haven't given anyone an update. So grab yourself a cup of tea, coffee, or your beverage of choice and let's dive in. Okay, so we are partway through April 2025 and I have two projects on the go at the moment. I have the Chief's Wild Promise, which is a historical romance set in medieval Scotland, and I have the Queen and the Half-Blood, which is book one in a new duology, which is called The Unforgotten, which is a fantasy romance which is due out later in the year. So let's talk about the historical romance first. So, like I said, I'm working on the Chief's Wild Promise at the moment. It's actually currently with my editor for the structural edit or the developmental edit. They both mean the same thing. And I'm always a little bit nervous until I hear back and I know what work is required. But in the meantime, I am already starting to think about the next series. I'm always thinking ahead. So far in this particular series, we have this one here, which is the Pirate's Indecent Proposal, which is book one. Book two, which I don't actually have the paperback here, this is this one here, and it is the Laird's Wicked Game, and that one came out just a couple of weeks ago actually. And the third book, which is the Chief's Wild Promise, is actually out at the beginning of July. So that is where I'm at the moment with that particular series. So let's talk a little bit about what the series is about. So it's called Highland Scandal, so it's got a little kind of edge of naughtiness to it, this particular series, which has been really fun to write. The first book is all about a pirate and his indecent proposal, so it is what it says on the box or what it says on the cover. And the second one is about a laird and his wicked game, so I make it quite clear. So this follows three sisters. They are the McGregor sisters, and they have all ended up for various reasons on the Isle of Mull, although book three takes you on a little journey to Perthshire, which is quite nice. Not that I don't like the Isle of Mull, but I have actually written a few books set there now, so it's nice to take a little break sometimes, but you still come back to the Isle of Mull at the end. So book one is all about a lady laird, but to become a lady laird she first of all has to kill her husband. That sounds quite dramatic, but the story begins with him trying to kill her by leaving her on a rock to die in the middle of the sea, and she is rescued by pirates. So that's book one. And book two is about her sister, Kylie, who is a widow who ends up taking a job as a tutor to a laird's two sons. They're quite wild, these two boys, and she has her work cut out for her, and she right from the beginning kind of realizes that she's attracted to her employer, but she tries to push it aside because she doesn't want to think about it. She wants a new life, she wants a new start. She wasn't happily married, she's ended up penniless because her husband gambled away all their money, so she's trying really hard to kind of make a fresh start and not mess things up. But unfortunately, this attraction that she and Ray, who's the laird, have gets a bit out of control, and when they try and take control of it by embarking on this kind of sensual game, well, you can imagine how things work out. And book three is all about the third and youngest daughter, and her name is McKenna, and she is a warrior. And I really enjoyed letting you get to know McKenna a bit in the first two books. You know that she's been betrothed to a man she's never met. It's part of a political alliance between the McKinnons and the McGregors, and she starts things off pretty badly on the first day that she meets her husband, because she ends up with a knife to his throat on the verge of killing him due to a misunderstanding. So that's been a really fun book to write, and I've really enjoyed because book three has got a quite young hero and heroine. In the previous two books they were a bit more mature, with a bit more of a history, whereas these two are just kind of getting started in life. They've got insecurities, and they help each other overcome them. So it's actually very tender in places, even though you've got a lot of action and good times. So if you loved the emotion and the character building and the complexities that I built in books 1 and 2 of the series, you are going to love the Chief's Wild Promise as well, because we're going to have that in spades. And there is something really special about McKenna, because I didn't just want her to be like a female warrior, because I've written about female warriors before, but I wanted her to be also very feminine at the same time. So she dresses really beautifully, but she has her clothes cut so that she can fight and she can walk and she can ride in them, but look nice at the same time. She's also quite rebellious, but at the same time she's very, very loyal. So we've got, you know, a lot of complexity in her character, and also in Bran's character too, because we know a lot about him. I've actually dropped little tidbits about Bran throughout this series and the previous series. In fact, you meet him in the previous series when he's a bit younger. So you get to know what he's like. You get to understand that he's a guy who's got a lot of pain in his past because he had quite a brutal, severe father. So it's been really interesting bringing him also out into his own and letting him shine in his own story. The second project that I'm working on at the moment, and I don't usually write 2 books at the same time, it's usually madness, but I've been so inspired that I kind of had to start this one a little bit of ahead of time because it's also a big book. It's going to be about 100,000 words, this one. So I needed more time to write it and more thinking time as well. So this is the second romantasy or fantasy romance duology that I'm going to be embarking on. So last year I wrote one called The Enforcer's Bride, and I'm just going to get the books here to show you. So we've got the first one, which was Bound by Deception. This is actually the special edition of it. Isn't it pretty? I know some of you have actually ordered this from me, and it's got foiling, it's got a ribbon bookmark, and it's got the lovely sprayed edges as well. Really pretty. And I have the same version of book 2 as well, Ashes of Betrayal, same thing. So I really enjoyed writing this duology. It's a little bit different to my historical romances because the same couple goes through both books, and so they get their happy ending at the end, but you have a bit of a cliffhanger at the end of book 1. And I'm going to be doing the same thing for this duology that I'm working on now. And this duology will be out in September and December, so the 2 parts of it. And I am about just over halfway through the first draft of The Queen and the Half-Blood. So Lara takes her role really seriously, and we discover that she's actually decided that she is married to her country, she's married to her people, she's not going to take another husband. We know from the previous series that she was married very briefly. We don't know the details about it, we don't know what happened. We get the sense that it wasn't a particularly happy union. It was a very short one, but not particularly happy one. And you're going to discover a little bit more about what that was like for her during the book. But she's determined to take back the kingdom and to get things back to the way they were, and also re-establish peace and harmony with her people, because of course there are all kinds of problems cropping up now. But she has a bit of an issue because she doesn't really have the warriors and the druids. She doesn't really have a big enough army to take back the land that's been taken. And so she's trying to, as the story opens, she's trying to take back one of the forts in the uplands, which is the area that's occupied, and she realizes she can't do it alone, and she's approached by a man who's called the Half-Blood. His name is Alar, but his nickname is the Half-Blood. He's half she, half Marav. That's the human race that inhabits this world. And he's been an outcast for years, and he kind of lives in the shadows. He lives with wolvers, which are these half wolf, half man type of beasts, and he's been living with them for many years. And he kind of emerges from nowhere and offers her a deal. And he says, okay, you can have my army of wolvers. And he does. He has this huge army of wolvers who can help her take her lands back. But the downside of it is she's got to marry him. And so lots of fun and games kick off with this, as you can imagine. So we've got her story and we've got his story, and he's a man shrouded in mystery. It's a dual POV story, which means it's third person, as my books always are, but you get scenes from his point of view and from her point of view, and I'm having a lot of fun writing it. So like I said, I'm about halfway through. Which means I'm just over 50,000 words in, but like I said, this one is going to be 100k, so it's going to be pretty girthy when it's done. But I'm really looking forward to sharing this book with you. And isn't the cover pretty? So the release dates for my next two releases. So we have July the 3rd for the Chief's Wild Promise, and we have September the 25th for the Queen and the Half-Blood. And remember that both of these are actually available on pre-order as well. So if you go on and pre-order, then it'll get delivered to your Kindle on release day and you won't forget. I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a green heart in the comments below. Green is the colour of McKenna's eyes. McKenna is the heroine of the Chief's Wild Promise, and she has moss green eyes. So, see you next time. And thanks very much for watching this video.